We come from a long line of courageous and daring explorers. 400 years ago, braving an uncertain future, 105 courageous and determined men sailed from England to Jamestown, traveling in cramped, dingy ships that provided little protection from the elements. 2007 marks the 400th anniversary for Jamestown, Virginia, the site of the first English-speaking settlement in our country's history. To honor these early explorers, NASA will fly into space 4 coins and a nearly 400-year-old artifact recently discovered in historic Jamestown. These items will fly aboard Space Shuttle Atlantis during mission STS-117. The artifact, a metal cargo tagged reading Jamestown, was unearthed during an archaeological dig at the site of James Fort on Jamestown Island. Bly Straub, curator for the Jamestown Rediscovery Archaeological Project, tells us more about this artifact.
It's a wonderful artifact. It's really unique because it's the only thing we have that says Jamestown on it, you know, the place where we're digging. And this is an artifact that we found down a well, very early well, dug about 1611, perhaps filled about 1617. So a good date for this artifact. And it would have been a tag that was attached to commodities of some sort, a barrel of goods, or perhaps a crate of jars containing butter, and warehoused in London, but denoting where it was supposed to go. That's why it had Jamestown on it. So it is really kind of like our modern day tag, luggage tag, shipping tag. It's very datable because of its context, having been found in the well, which was sealed about 1617. You know, it couldn't be any later, you know, any more recent than 1617, so it had to be earlier, and was just discarded, just thrown down the well once the water went bad in the well. That's what happens to wells. They become great trash deposits. I often think about the people who are making and using the artifacts that we find, and I could just imagine this little craftsman, you know, hammering away at this piece of lead, making the words Jamestown. I mean, what would he think if he knew how far his little object was going? I mean, I think it's very appropriate. It's reflective of exploration and travel, and of course back in the 17th century it was a similar feeling of the unknown, of where they're going. I mean, we're in the same kind of situation, but we're going out into space instead of across the ocean.
STS-117 will travel round trip to the International Space Station, logging an additional 4 million miles beyond the artifact's original travel from England to Jamestown. NASA will return the shipping tag to historic Jamestown for display in its Archaearium. While STS-117 honors past exploration with the flying of this artifact, this mission also focuses on taking steps to complete the International Space Station, looking to the next phase of American exploration. Robbie Kerns from the Space Operations Program Office at NASA Langley Research Center recently talked with a student from Ocean Lakes High School about modern-day exploration.
Mr. Kerns, could you tell us a little bit about the STS-117 mission and some of its goals?
Sure. Marissa, NASA obviously is committed to fulfilling the President's vision for U.S. space exploration. And part of that vision, one of the near-term goals, is to establish a lunar base on the moon where people will be able to go and live and work and learn how to survive in that type of environment. One of the key steps that they have to accomplish in order to get to the moon is to complete the International Space Station, because that's where they'll develop tools and techniques that they'll utilize when they go to establish a lunar base on the moon. So part of the main purpose of the STS-117 mission is to continue the construction of the space station by adding some more segments to it and a solar array. And so collectively that, with other missions that come after that, will eventually assemble the whole space station and create a place where the scientists and engineers can go to learn how to develop the tools and techniques for surviving on the moon.
How are the shuttle crew members like modern-day explorers?
Well, Marissa, whether you're talking about explorers of 400 years ago or whether you're talking about tomorrow's explorers that are going to the moon, I think they all share a couple of things that are in common. They had to know what was across the ocean, you know, what's next, what's on the horizon that they can go discover. So I think like the explorers, the settlers that came to Jamestown 400 years ago, the astronauts that are flying on 117 are explorers because they too are learning how to live and work in an environment that they're not accustomed to.
What advice would you give students who are interested in being a part of future explorations?
Well, see, I remember when I was a kid, I remember standing in my front yard and watching the pilots as they flew over in the jets and watching them break the sound barrier. I remember watching the Apollo astronauts land on the moon, and I remember thinking to myself, boy, I could never do that. But you know what? Here I am. I'm working in NASA, many years later, but I'm a part of it. So my advice to anybody out there that has that type of dream, that wants to come do this type of stuff, that wants to continue the exploration or work in space or support NASA in any way, I just say go for it. The opportunity is there, and no matter who you are, you can get there. It's not an unreachable goal.
STS-118, the space shuttle mission following STS-117, is NASA's mission for education. Barbara Morgan, the first educator astronaut, will be on board Space Shuttle Endeavour. She will share her adventure with students and other teachers, working to inspire, engage, and encourage them to join NASA's science and exploration activities. Debbie Martinez, the Space Operations Technology Manager from NASA Langley Research Center, helped another student from Ocean Lakes High School learn more about STS-118 in a recent interview.
Ms. Martinez, it's exciting to think that STS-118 will be the first mission with an educator astronaut on board. What impact do you think this will have for students and teachers?
Well, Katie, as you know, NASA is embarking on an exciting new journey, and is to go back to the moon, and this time to settle and to establish ourselves there, to then move on and go to Mars. NASA really values educators, and because they are able to inspire our next generation of explorers, which are students, and we can't wait to get them on board and get them involved in this journey that we're going to embark on.
How do you think today's students could become tomorrow's explorers?
Well, as you know, 3rd and 4th graders are our future Mars explorers, Mars astronauts. So it's very important that we get them involved. NASA's eager for them to get involved because we need them. They're going to be the ones who are going to be developing the tools and technology we're going to need for the future. So it's a very exciting time to be a student, I think, because it's an opportunity that's never been offered to generations past. And if they get on board, they may have that opportunity to actually realize their dreams of being scientists, engineers, doctors, but not only here on Earth, but expanded into space. And I think that students have that natural curiosity that makes them have the spirit of exploration that we need for the future.
Humans have an innate hunger to find new frontiers and a strong desire to establish a permanent presence in unexplored territories. Before the end of the next decade, NASA's vision for space exploration calls for humans to return to the moon. And this time, we're going to stay, building outposts and paving the way for eventual journeys to Mars and beyond. The journey has begun, and it needs teachers to inspire and encourage their students to see their role in exploration. The challenges faced by the Jamestown settlers 400 years ago are similar to the challenges astronauts will face establishing a settlement on the moon. Teachers may help their students compare these challenges using an educational module jointly created by NASA and historic Jamestown. This module, Exploration, Then and Now, looks at 4 themes of exploration: transportation, settlement, the role of water, and human needs. It asks the question, what does it take to survive in a harsh environment? The module and other exploration educational resources can be found at the NASA portal. Frank Borman, commander of Apollo 8, once said that, quote, exploration is really the essence of the human spirit, end quote. It is our destiny to seek new worlds, across an ocean, on different soil, beyond the stars. Learn from the past, discover the future, grab hold of the vision.